The relational schema migration subsystem provides mechanisms for applying structural changes to database tables while maintaining data consistency and operational availability. Migration operations are defined declaratively and executed in a single atomic transaction. The system maintains bidirectional schema versioning to enable rollback operations. All migrations are logged to the system change log prior to execution. Migration execution follows a 5-stage lifecycle. The preparation stage validates schema changes against the current table structure and computes dependency relationships. Validation ensures no circular column dependencies or type incompatibilities exist. The locking stage acquires exclusive table locks in dependency order. Planning constructs the exact sequence of internal operations required. Execution applies changes. Finalization updates metadata and releases locks. The add column operation inserts a new column into an existing table at a specified position. Required parameters include column name, data type, and position index. Optional parameters specify default value, nullability constraint, and whether to backfill existing rows. The system creates the column in the physical storage layer, then updates the table metadata. If backfill is enabled, all existing rows receive the default value or null. The remove column operation deletes a column from a table and reclaims its storage space. Before removal, the system verifies the column is not referenced by any active indexes or constraints. If dependent objects exist, the operation fails and returns an error code indicating the blocking resource. All data in the column is permanently discarded. Removal is irreversible without restoring from backup. The modify column operation changes the properties of an existing column without removing it. Supported modifications include data type conversion, constraint addition or removal, and default value change. Type conversion involves reading each value, validating it can be converted to the new type, and writing the converted value back. If any value cannot convert, the operation rolls back entirely and reports the offending row. The rename column operation changes a column's identifier without altering its data or type. The system updates all references in the table metadata and the index definitions pointing to this column. Views that select this column by name must be recompiled. Triggers referencing the old name are marked invalid and must be manually corrected. The rename does not modify any actual data storage. The add index operation creates a new index on one or more columns to accelerate query execution. The operation scans the entire table, extracts values from specified columns, and constructs the index data structure. During index construction, the table remains available for read operations, but write operations are queued. The index is marked readable only after construction completes successfully. The remove index operation drops an index and frees its storage allocation. The system verifies no query plans currently rely on this index. If dependent plans exist, the operation waits until they complete. Cached query plans referencing the index are invalidated and will be recompiled on next execution. The underlying table is unaffected and remains fully functional. The add constraint operation defines a new constraint on one or more columns. Constraint types include primary key, unique, foreign key, and check constraints. The system validates that all existing data satisfies the constraint before applying it. If validation fails, specific rows violating the constraint are reported. Once applied, the constraint is enforced on all subsequent modifications to the table. The remove constraint operation deletes an existing constraint and returns the column to unrestricted state. Foreign key constraints must have their corresponding references cleared from other tables before removal. Check constraints are simply disabled and removed. Unique and primary key constraints may be removed only if no indexes depend on them. The system checks dependencies before proceeding. The modify constraint operation changes the behavior of an existing constraint without removing it. For check constraints, the condition expression can be updated. For foreign key constraints, the reference table or columns can be changed. For unique and primary key constraints, column membership cannot be altered. The system validates all existing data before applying the modification. Migration operations support a dry run mode that simulates execution without applying changes. In dry run mode, the system performs all validation and planning steps, but does not modify any persistent state. A report is generated listing all operations that would be executed and any validation warnings. Dry run does not acquire locks and does not impact table availability. The system maintains a migration history log that records all completed and failed migration operations. Each log entry contains the migration identifier, timestamp, operation sequence, duration, and result code. Failed migrations include error descriptions and the exact point of failure. Historical logs are retained indefinitely and can be queried for audit purposes or to understand schema evolution. Rollback functionality allows reverting a completed migration to its prior state. The system maintains inverse operations for each forward operation. A rollback migration is created containing these inverse operations in reverse sequence. Rollback operations execute with the same validation and locking behavior as forward migrations. Rollback is only possible if no subsequent migrations depend on the state created by the migration being rolled back. Concurrent migration operations are serialized through a global migration lock that is held for the entire duration of execution. If a second migration is requested while one is executing, the request is queued and waits for the lock to be released. Timeout behavior is configurable per migration through the timeout seconds parameter. Upon timeout expiration, the queued operation is cancelled and an error is returned. The migration system exposes monitoring metrics including current operation status, estimated completion time, and resource utilization. Lock wait time and operation latency are tracked separately for performance analysis. Failed operations are reported with detailed error context. Metrics are emitted to the system monitoring interface for integration with observability platforms. Historical metrics are retained in a circular buffer for trend analysis.